Some civilizations didn't build upward. They carved into mountains, buried their cities beneath the earth, and erased themselves from memory on purpose. From a forgotten imperial capital that ruled empires to underground cities built to survive extinction. From golden kings buried in silence to walls that refused to fall for 2,000 years. These places were not abandoned, they were sealed.
Subashi ruins. Hidden in the Taklamakan Desert of Xinjiang, China, the Subashi ruins offer a rare glimpse into the life and culture of an ancient Silk Road settlement. Subashi, whose name translates roughly to water village, was once a bustling town and religious center during the Tang dynasty, 7th to 10th century CE, strategically located along the northern routes of the Silk Road. Its location allowed it to serve as a cultural and commercial hub, connecting central China with Central Asia, India, and beyond. Archaeological evidence suggests that Subashi was primarily inhabited by the Sogdians, a people renowned for their mercantile skills and cultural influence along the Silk Road. It was also home to Buddhist monks, artisans, and traders who contributed to the town's Subashi ruins. Hidden in the Taklamakan Desert of Xinjiang, China, the Subashi ruins offer a rare glimpse into the life and culture of an ancient Silk Road settlement. Subashi, whose name translates roughly to water village, was once a bustling town and religious center during the Tang dynasty, 7th to 10th century CE, strategically located along the northern routes of the Silk Road. Its location allowed it to serve as a cultural and commercial hub, connecting central China with Central Asia, India, and beyond. Archaeological evidence suggests that Subashi was primarily inhabited by the Sogdians, a people renowned for their mercantile skills and cultural influence along the Silk Road. It was also home to Buddhist monks, artisans, and traders who contributed to the town's vibrant religious and commercial life. Temples, stupas, and monasteries were constructed from mud brick and stone, many of which have partially survived the centuries, offering insights into both architectural techniques and spiritual practices of the period. Subashi thrived as part of the Tang dynasty's frontier network, providing safety and resources for travelers and caravans navigating the harsh desert environment. Its prosperity relied on trade, religious patronage, and a cosmopolitan population that embraced diverse customs, languages, and artistic traditions. Historical records mention Subashi as an important center of Buddhism in the Tarim Basin, and its ruins contain numerous artifacts such as statues, inscriptions, coins, and ceramics that reflect the town's economic vitality and spiritual devotion. The decline of Subashi came gradually, likely due to shifting trade routes, political instability, and environmental challenges of the Taklamakan Desert. Yet the ruins remain a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of a civilization that thrived in one of the harshest regions of the ancient world. Through careful excavation and study, researchers have begun to piece together the story of Subashi, revealing how it functioned as a vital outpost of culture, religion, and commerce along the Silk Road. The Subashi ruins reveal a sophisticated settlement with a mix of religious, residential, and commercial architecture. Temples and monasteries were often constructed with layered mud brick, featuring courtyards, prayer halls, and stupa platforms, reflecting influences from Indian Buddhist architecture adapted to local conditions. Many structures were adorned with relief carvings and statues depicting the Buddha, bodhisattvas, and other deities, demonstrating both artistic skill and religious devotion. Excavations have uncovered wall paintings and murals, some preserved in fragments, which provide insights into the iconography, dress, and rituals of the inhabitants. The murals depict scenes of Buddhist cosmology, meditation, and ritual practice, emphasizing the role of faith as a guiding principle in daily life.
Decorative motifs reveal a blending of Indian, Persian, and Central Asian artistic influences, highlighting Subashi's position as a nexus of cross-cultural interaction along the Silk Road. Residential areas consisted of mud brick houses with courtyards and storage rooms, suggesting an organized urban layout that accommodated merchants, artisans, and families. Workshops for pottery, weaving, and metalwork have been identified, indicating a local economy that combined trade with skilled craftsmanship. Artifacts such as coins, ceramic fragments, and glassware illustrate the settlement's connection to distant markets and the cosmopolitan nature of its inhabitants. Religious significance was central to Subashi's identity. The concentration of Buddhist temples and ritual artifacts demonstrates that the town functioned as both a spiritual center and a waypoint for pilgrims traveling through the Tarim Basin. The architecture and art of Subashi exemplify the synthesis of practical desert living with religious practice, creating a community that balanced economic activity with spiritual practice.
Modern archaeological work at Subashi has uncovered a wealth of material culture that illuminates the daily lives, trade networks, and spiritual practices of its residents. Excavations have revealed the remains of monasteries, stupas, residential compounds, and marketplaces, often layered over centuries of occupation. Artifacts include Buddhist statues in stone and clay, painted murals, ceramic wares, coins from multiple dynasties, and tools used in weaving, metalworking, and pottery production. These discoveries highlight the diversity and cosmopolitan nature of Subashi. Sogdian merchants, local Turkic populations, and Chinese settlers coexisted, contributing to a rich tapestry of culture, language, and religion. The imported goods found at the site, including glassware from the Mediterranean, silk from China, and metalwork from Central Asia, demonstrate the town's vital role in long-distance trade and cultural exchange. Religious artifacts offer deep insights into spiritual life. Murals, inscriptions, and statuary reveal the prevalence of Mahayana Buddhism, complemented by local folk beliefs and ritual practices unique to the region. Some temples show evidence of multiple renovations, indicating sustained devotion and evolving religious practices over centuries. Inscriptions and donor records also shed light on the social hierarchy of the town, with wealthy patrons funding temple construction and contributing to the spiritual and economic life of the community. The study of Subashi has broader implications for understanding the Silk Road. It provides tangible evidence of how desert settlements functioned as hubs of commerce, culture, and spirituality, demonstrating resilience in a challenging environment. Each artifact and structural remnant contributes to reconstructing a once thriving settlement that connected east and west in profound ways. Today, the Subashi ruins are recognized as an important site for the study of Silk Road history, desert settlements, and cross-cultural interaction in Central Asia. Preservation efforts focus on protecting the fragile mud brick structures and delicate murals from erosion, wind, and human impact. Archaeologists continue to excavate and study the site, revealing new information about trade, religion, and daily life along one of the world's most significant ancient trade networks. The legacy of Subashi lies in its demonstration of how human ingenuity and cultural exchange thrived even in one of the harshest landscapes on Earth. It offers a window into a civilization that harmonized commerce, craftsmanship, and spiritual life, showing the adaptability and resilience of nomadic and semi-urban communities. The ruins also illustrate the crucial role of intermediary settlements in sustaining the Silk Road's flow of goods, ideas, and religious practices. Globally, Subashi provides insights into the dynamics of ancient multicultural societies, revealing how trade, migration, and religion intersected to create vibrant communities. Scholars study Subashi to understand patterns of urban planning, religious architecture, and artistic synthesis across the Eurasian steppe.
For tourists and history enthusiasts, the ruins evoke the grandeur and mystery of the Silk Road, highlighting how even remote desert towns contributed to world history. Ultimately, the Subashi ruins stand as a testament to human resilience, cross-cultural exchange, and spiritual devotion. They remind us that history is not confined to grand cities or empires, but is also preserved in the remnants of small yet influential settlements where commerce, faith, and art converged to shape the lives of those who lived and traveled along the Silk Road. Hattusa. In the harsh highlands of central Anatolia, where winters are long and unforgiving, lie the ruins of Hattusa. This was not a city chosen for comfort or beauty. It was chosen for control. Surrounded by steep ravines and rocky ridges, Hattusa became the fortified heart of the Hittite Empire, one of the great powers of the Late Bronze Age. Founded around the 17th century BCE, Hattusa rose from an earlier settlement known as Hattush. When King Hattusili I established it as his capital, he transformed the landscape into a statement of authority. Massive stone walls, gates guarded by carved lions and sphinxes, and a carefully planned urban layout turned the city into a near-impenetrable stronghold. Hattusa was not merely defended by walls, it was defended by geography, religion, and law. At its height, the city covered more than 180 hectares and housed tens of thousands of inhabitants. Administrative buildings, royal palaces, temples, storage facilities, and residential quarters filled the valleys and hilltops. Roads and gates controlled movement, reinforcing the sense that Hattusa was both a city and a fortress. Yet, despite its military appearance, Hattusa was not a city obsessed with war alone. It was also a center of diplomacy, record-keeping, and religious complexity. Behind its walls, the Hittites were building one of the most sophisticated states of the ancient world. The true strength of Hattusa did not lie in stone, but in words. Excavations have uncovered tens of thousands of clay tablets written in cuneiform script. These texts, stored in royal archives, reveal a civilization deeply concerned with law, treaties, ritual, and administration. The Hittites were among the first to formalize international diplomacy. One of the most famous documents from Hattusa is the Treaty of Kadesh, signed between the Hittite king Hattusili III and Pharaoh Ramesses II of Egypt around 1259 BCE. It is the earliest known surviving peace treaty in history. Written in both Akkadian and Egyptian, it declared mutual non-aggression and alliance, an extraordinary achievement in an age defined by warfare. Hittite law itself was surprisingly humane by ancient standards. While still harsh, punishments often favored fines over physical mutilation, reflecting a legal system that valued restitution. This suggests a society that saw law as a stabilizing force, not merely a tool of terror. The kings of Hattusa ruled as warrior priests, mediating between gods and people. They did not claim divinity in life, but they wielded sacred authority. The king's duty was to maintain cosmic order, ensuring that rituals were performed correctly so the gods would favor the land. Administration, religion, and power were inseparable. Every decision echoed through the divine and earthly realms alike. Hattusa was known as the City of 1,000 Gods. This was not poetic exaggeration. The Hittite pantheon absorbed deities from conquered and allied peoples across Anatolia, Syria, and Mesopotamia. Rather than suppressing foreign gods, the Hittites welcomed them, believing each deity strengthened the state. Temples filled the city, each dedicated to different divine forces. At the center stood the Great Temple, likely devoted to the storm god of Hatti and the sun goddess of Arena, the supreme divine couple. Their favor ensured reign, fertility, and victory, Without it, the empire could collapse. Just outside the city lay Yazilikaya, an open-air rock sanctuary unlike anything else in the ancient world. Carved into natural stone walls are long processions of gods, goddesses, and mythic beings. Here, the divine order was literally etched into the landscape. These reliefs were not decoration. They were theology made visible, a permanent ritual space where kings reaffirmed their bond with the gods during seasonal festivals. Religion at Hattusa was not abstract belief, it was constant performance. Festivals could last weeks, requiring immense organization and resources. Failure to honor the gods properly was believed to result in famine, plague, or defeat. Faith was governance. Around 1200 BCE, the world Hattusa dominated began to unravel. The Late Bronze Age collapse swept across the eastern Mediterranean. Trade networks failed, cities burned, populations moved. The causes remained debated: climate change, internal revolt, invasion, or a combination of all three. Hattusa was abandoned. There is no clear evidence of a dramatic final battle. Instead, the city seems to have been evacuated. Administrative records cease. Buildings were left to decay. The once mighty capital fell silent. The Hittite Empire disappeared from memory. For centuries, it survived only as a mysterious people mentioned briefly in biblical and Egyptian texts. Their cities were lost, their language forgotten. It was not until the late 19th and early 20th centuries that archaeologists rediscovered Hattusa and deciphered its tablets. The silence broke. A forgotten superpower returned to history. Today, the ruins of Hattusa stretch across the Anatolian plateau, walls, gates, temples, and empty streets exposed to wind and time. They tell a story not just of power, but of fragility. Hattusa reminds us that even the most organized, literate, and fortified empires can vanish, that law, faith, and walls cannot always hold back systemic collapse. But it also reminds us of something else, that memory, once lost, can be recovered, and that history is never truly silent, only waiting to be heard again. Derinkuyu. Beneath the soft volcanic landscape of Cappadocia lies a city unlike any other. It has no skyline, no visible streets, no towers reaching toward the sky. Instead, it descends into darkness. Derinkuyu is not merely an underground refuge, it is a fully realized city carved into the earth itself. Discovered accidentally in 1963 when a local resident broke through a wall in his basement, Derinkuyu revealed a hidden world extending more than 60 meters below the surface. What began as a single chamber opened into a labyrinth of tunnels, rooms, stairways, and shafts, an entire urban system concealed beneath ordinary homes. Archaeological evidence suggests that the earliest phases of Derinkuyu may date back to the Phrygian period, around the 8th century BCE, though the city was expanded and refined over many centuries. Its most extensive use occurred during the Byzantine era, when Christian communities sought protection from invasion and persecution. Derinkuyu was not a temporary hiding place. It was designed for long-term habitation. At its deepest levels, the city could shelter up to 20,000 people, along with livestock, food supplies, and water. Every detail reflects deliberate planning in response to constant threat. This was a city built not for prosperity, but for survival. The true marvel of Derinkuyu lies in its engineering. More than 18 levels descend into the bedrock, each serving specific functions. Upper levels housed stables, storage rooms, and wine presses, keeping animals and potentially harmful fumes closer to ventilation shafts. Deeper levels were reserved for living quarters, kitchens, schools, and places of worship. At the heart of the city's design was airflow. Vertical ventilation shafts, some extending the full depth of the city, ensured a constant supply of fresh air even when entrances were sealed. These shafts also doubled as wells, providing access to clean water without exposing inhabitants to the surface. Security was paramount. Narrow corridors forced intruders to move single file. Massive circular stone doors weighing several tons could be rolled into place to block passageways. From behind these doors, defenders could attack through small openings while remaining protected. Navigation within Derinkuyu was intentionally confusing. Corridors change direction abruptly, stairways narrow without warning, and levels are uneven. To outsiders, the city was a trap. To its inhabitants, it was a second nature, memorized, lived, and trusted. Derinkuyu demonstrates that fear, when sustained over generations, can produce extraordinary innovation.
Life in Derinkuyu was defined by adaptation. Without sunlight, inhabitants relied on oil lamps and torches. Daily routines were shaped by limited space and shared resources. Privacy was rare. Cooperation was essential. Every family, every individual depended on the discipline of the collective. Religion played a central role in maintaining order and meaning. Deep within the city, chapels and cross-shaped rooms served as places of worship. These spaces were not symbolic additions, they were psychological anchors. Faith provided comfort in a world where the surface could mean death. Derinkuyu was closely connected to other underground settlements through hidden tunnels, some stretching for kilometers. This network allowed communities to communicate, relocate, and survive even when one city was compromised. Children were born underground. Lessons were taught in enclosed chambers believed to function as schools or meeting halls. Life continued, not paused, beneath the earth. Yet the underground existence was not permanent. Derinkuyu was used primarily during times of danger. When threats passed, inhabitants returned to the surface, leaving the city dormant but ready. This cycle of retreat and return shaped a culture accustomed to disappearance. Over time, the threats that made Derinkuyu necessary faded. Empires stabilized, borders shifted. Underground life became less essential. Gradually, the city was abandoned, not in panic, but in relief. Its entrances were sealed, its chambers emptied. Derinkuyu slipped into silence. For centuries, it existed only as rumor, an underground myth beneath Cappadocia. It was not mentioned in great chronicles or celebrated in stone. Its purpose was secrecy, and secrecy succeeded. Its rediscovery in the 20th century forced historians and archaeologists to reconsider assumptions about ancient urban life. Derinkuyu proves that cities do not always rise upward. Sometimes they retreat inward. Today, Derinkuyu stands as a monument to human resilience under pressure. It represents a society that did not meet danger with conquest, but with concealment, a civilization that chose endurance over dominance. Derinkuyu reminds us that history is not only written in palaces and monuments, but in places built to be unseen. It tells the story of people who survived not by ruling the world, but by disappearing from it when necessary. In the end, Derinkuyu was not a city of darkness, it was a city of patience.
Diyarbakır city walls. Rising from the plains of southeastern Anatolia, the walls of Diyarbakır do not simply surround a city, they define it. Built primarily from black basalt stone, these massive fortifications stretch for more than 5 kilometers, encircling one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Diyarbakır stands on the upper banks of the Tigris River at a crossroads between Mesopotamia, Anatolia, Persia, and the Levant. For thousands of years, armies, merchants, pilgrims, and empires passed through this land. Few places were more contested. Fewer still survived with their defenses intact. The earliest fortifications on this site date back to antiquity, but the walls as we know them today took their monumental form during the Roman period, especially in the 4th century CE under Emperor Constantius II. What he ordered was not merely a defensive structure, but a declaration. This city would not be easily taken. The walls rise up to 12 meters high and are reinforced by more than 80 towers, each carefully positioned for visibility and defense. 4 monumental gates, Da Kapi, Urfa Kapi, Marden Kapi, and Yeni Kapi, controlled access to the city, regulating both trade and threat. From the very beginning, the walls of Diyarbakır were designed to do more than repel enemies. They were meant to endure history itself. What sets the Diyarbakır walls apart from most ancient fortifications is their material. Basalt, formed from volcanic lava, is exceptionally hard and resistant to erosion. Its dark color gives the walls a somber, almost otherworldly presence, especially at sunrise and sunset, when the stone absorbs and releases light like cooled fire. Constructing walls of this scale with basalt was an immense challenge. Each block had to be quarried, shaped, transported, and fitted with precision. The result was a fortification that resisted not only siege engines, but time itself. Over centuries, the walls were expanded, repaired, and reinscribed by successive rulers. Romans, Byzantines, Arabs, Seljuks, Artaquids, and Ottomans all left their mark. Instead of erasing the past, each empire added to it. Inscriptions carved into the stone record victories, restorations, and religious dedications. Latin, Greek, Arabic, and Ottoman Turkish appear side by side, turning the walls into a living historical archive. Few monuments in the world document continuity of power so visibly. The walls were also symbolic. To rule Diyarbakır was to inherit its defenses. Whoever held the walls controlled not just a city, but a gateway between civilizations. The fortifications projected authority outward and stability inward, reassuring inhabitants that they were protected, at least for a time. Yet no wall, no matter how strong, exists outside history.
Throughout their long existence, the Diyarbakır walls were tested repeatedly. Arab-Muslim armies besieged the city in the 7th century. Byzantine forces attempted to reclaim it. Mongols, Timurids, and rival regional powers all challenged its defenses. The walls were breached at times, but never erased. What made them resilient was not only stone, but adaptation. Towers were reinforced, weak points were redesigned, defensive techniques evolved alongside weaponry. Each generation learned from the last. Within the walls, life continued. Diyarbakır was not a military camp, it was a living city. Mosques, churches, markets, and homes filled the enclosed space. The walls became part of daily life, casting long shadows over streets and shaping how the city expanded inward rather than outward. Religion also shaped the meaning of the walls. Islamic tradition associated fortification with divine protection, while Christian communities saw the walls as sanctified boundaries. For Armenians, Syriacs, Kurds, Arabs, and Turks alike, the walls were a shared inheritance, even when histories conflicted. Certain towers took on ceremonial significance. Some inscriptions invoked God's protection. Others commemorated rulers who restored damaged sections after earthquakes or sieges. Defense and faith merged into a single purpose: survival. The walls did not just separate inside from outside, they separated order from chaos, memory from oblivion. By the modern era, the walls of Diyarbakır faced a new threat, not invasion, but neglect.
Advances in warfare rendered medieval fortifications obsolete. Parts of the walls were dismantled for building materials. Urban expansion pressed against them. Yet, unlike many ancient defenses, the Diyarbakır walls were never fully abandoned. They remained part of the city's identity, too massive and too meaningful to disappear entirely. In 2015, UNESCO recognized the Diyarbakır Fortress and Hevsel Gardens as a World Heritage Site, acknowledging their historical, architectural, and cultural value. Preservation efforts intensified, though challenges remain. Today, the walls stand as both monument and mirror. They reflect centuries of conflict, coexistence, resilience, and adaptation. They tell the story of a city that learned to survive by enclosing itself without closing itself off. Walking along the walls is to walk through layers of time. Roman stonework meets Islamic inscriptions. Repairs from different centuries intersect. No single empire owns this structure. It belongs to history itself. The walls of Diyarbakır remind us that power fades, weapons change, and borders shift, but endurance leaves a deeper mark. These stones did not conquer the world. They outlasted it.
Dazu rock carvings. Perched on the cliffs of Dazu district in Chongqing, China, the Dazu rock carvings are an extraordinary testament to the spiritual, artistic, and cultural achievements of medieval China. Dating from the 7th to the 13th centuries, these rock carvings encompass thousands of statues and inscriptions, spanning Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist traditions. They were created over several centuries, reflecting the evolution of religious practice and artistic styles during the Tang and Song dynasties. The genesis of the carvings is closely tied to the rise of Buddhism in China. As the religion spread from India along trade routes and through cultural exchange, local communities and patrons sought to express devotion through monumental art. Buddhist monks and skilled artisans began carving images of the Buddha, bodhisattvas, arhats, and celestial beings directly into sandstone cliffs, creating permanent sanctuaries of faith accessible to all. Over time, Confucian and Taoist motifs were integrated, illustrating a uniquely Chinese synthesis of spiritual and moral teachings. Dazu's geographic location was both strategic and inspiring. Nestled along the Wujiang River, the cliffs offered natural canvases that could endure centuries of exposure. The region was a hub for trade and cultural exchange, allowing ideas, techniques, and iconography to flow from diverse parts of China and Central Asia. Communities actively sponsored the carvings, reflecting both piety and the desire to leave a lasting mark on the spiritual landscape. These carvings were not merely decorative. They served as moral and religious instruction for the public. Inscriptions and scenes depict narratives from Buddhist sutras, Confucian ethical tales, and Taoist philosophy. By combining art and instruction, the Dazu carvings transformed stone into a dynamic medium for spiritual engagement, ensuring that teachings could reach generations long after the artisans themselves had passed. The Dazu rock carvings are celebrated for their intricate artistry and the sheer scale of their execution. Over 50,000 statues are carved into cliffs across more than 75 sites, ranging from small niches to massive grottos housing figures several meters tall. Each statue demonstrates meticulous attention to detail, from the flowing robes of bodhisattvas to the serene expressions of meditating monks. Murals and bas-reliefs accompany many of the sculptures, narrating scenes from Buddhist scriptures, folklore, and everyday life. These visual stories were designed not only to inspire devotion, but also to educate the public on moral, spiritual, and social principles. Common themes include karmic cause and effect, filial piety, compassion, and the struggle between good and evil. The carvings reflect a deep understanding of human emotion, capturing subtle gestures, facial expressions, and symbolic attributes with remarkable realism. The fusion of religious traditions is particularly striking. While Buddhist motifs dominate, Confucian virtues and Taoist cosmology are frequently incorporated, highlighting the interwoven spiritual landscape of medieval China. Artisans often included inscriptions explaining the scenes, donor names, and dates of creation, providing historians with invaluable insights into patronage, societal structures, and religious life. Technically, the carvings required advanced knowledge of stonework, engineering, and pigment application. Many figures were painted with mineral pigments, some of which still retain traces of vibrant color today. The precise execution of large statues on cliff faces, often accessible only by scaffolding or wooden platforms, demonstrates a combination of artistic vision, technical ingenuity, and spiritual dedication that has rarely been matched in world art history.
Over the centuries, the Dazu carvings faced natural and human threats. Erosion, water damage, and earthquakes gradually affected the integrity of some figures, while periods of neglect left others vulnerable. Yet, due to the quality of sandstone and the skill of the artisans, the majority of the carvings survived remarkably intact. Rediscovery and scholarly attention in the 20th century highlighted the global importance of these sites. Archaeological studies revealed not only artistic techniques, but also profound cultural insights. The inscriptions and murals document religious practices, societal norms, and the role of patronage in medieval China. Wealthy families, local officials, and religious communities contributed to the creation of the carvings, reflecting a collaborative process that combined devotion with social prestige. The carvings also illustrate the philosophical and ethical priorities of the time. Buddhist themes emphasize compassion, meditation, and enlightenment. Confucian elements stress moral conduct and filial duty, and Taoist motifs depict harmony with nature and the cosmos. The integration of these traditions demonstrates the dynamic interplay of belief systems and the capacity of art to bridge diverse spiritual perspectives. Modern preservation efforts have focused on stabilizing cliff faces, preventing further erosion, and maintaining the integrity of pigments. Digitization and high-resolution imaging have allowed researchers and the public to study the carvings without causing physical damage, ensuring that future generations can continue to explore these masterpieces of faith and artistry. Today, the Dazu rock carvings are recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, celebrated for their exceptional artistry, religious significance, and historical value. They provide a unique window into medieval Chinese culture, reflecting the synthesis of Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist thought over several centuries. Scholars continue to study the carvings, uncovering new insights into religious practice, artistic evolution, and societal values. The carvings also serve as a symbol of China's enduring cultural heritage, inspiring contemporary artists, historians, and spiritual practitioners. Their combination of technical mastery, narrative richness, and moral instruction offers lessons that transcend time and geography. Educational programs, guided tours, and digital archives make it possible for a global audience to engage with these cliffside masterpieces, fostering appreciation and understanding of China's historical and artistic legacy. Globally, the Dazu rock carvings demonstrate how human creativity can transform natural landscapes into enduring monuments of faith and intellect. They underscore the universality of art as a vehicle for moral, spiritual, and cultural expression. For visitors, researchers, and enthusiasts, the carvings offer both aesthetic wonder and profound reflection, illustrating how art, religion, and history converge in remarkable harmony. Ultimately, the Dazu rock carvings stand as a testament to human ingenuity, spiritual devotion, and cultural continuity. They remind us that even carved into stone, the human desire to inspire, teach, and transcend earthly existence can endure for centuries, bridging the gap between past and present and connecting people across time through beauty and meaning.
Çayönü Tepesi.
Long before cities rose and empires formed, before temples dominated skylines and kings ruled from thrones, there was Çayönü. Nestled in the foothills of the Taurus Mountains in southeastern Anatolia, near the upper reaches of the Tigris River, Çayönü represents one of the earliest and most crucial turning points in human history. Dating back to around 10,200 BCE, Çayönü belongs to the pre-pottery Neolithic period, a time when humanity stood on the threshold between nomadic life and permanent settlement. Unlike later monumental sites, Çayönü does not impress through size or spectacle. Its importance lies in experimentation. This was not yet a village in the familiar sense. It was a laboratory of survival. Early inhabitants of Çayönü lived in small, tightly organized groups, relying on hunting, gathering, and the earliest attempts at plant cultivation. The settlement grew gradually, layer by layer, reflecting centuries of adaptation rather than sudden innovation. What makes Çayönü extraordinary is its architectural evolution. Houses changed form repeatedly over time, moving from simple round huts to rectangular buildings with stone foundations. These shifts mark a profound cognitive change. People were learning to shape space for long-term living. Çayönü was not copying an existing model, it was inventing one. One of Çayönü's most remarkable features is the diversity of its building styles. Archaeologists have identified multiple architectural phases, each reflecting new social needs and ideas. These include grill plan buildings with raised floors, channel structures possibly designed for sanitation, and solid stone-founded houses. This architectural experimentation suggests increasing concern with hygiene, organization, and permanence. Raised floors may have protected inhabitants from dampness or pests. Stone foundations signaled an investment in place. These were structures meant to be abandoned lightly. The layout of the settlement also indicates communal planning. Buildings were arranged around open spaces, implying shared activities and cooperation beyond the household level. Çayönü was not just a cluster of families, it was an emerging community. Perhaps most striking is evidence for specialized spaces. One structure, often referred to as the skull building, appears to have served a ritual or communal function. Human remains found there suggest practices related to death, memory, and social identity. Çayönü shows us a society beginning to organize itself, not through force or hierarchy, but through shared systems and repeated behavior. Social cohesion was not enforced by rulers, but necessity. Here, architecture became a tool for shaping society itself.
Çayönü was also a site of profound biological change. Archaeological evidence indicates that the inhabitants were among the first to domesticate animals, particularly sheep, goats, and pigs. This process was gradual and uneven. Wild animals were still hunted, but selective breeding and controlled slaughter patterns reveal human intervention. Domestication was not simply about food. It reshaped human relationships with animals and with nature. Living alongside herds required new rhythms, responsibilities, and ethical frameworks. There is also evidence of complex ritual behavior involving animals and humans alike. Some remains show signs of deliberate placement and modification. Certain skulls appear to have been displayed or curated, suggesting beliefs centered on ancestors or powerful individuals. Çayönü was a place where blood, labor, and belief intersected. Survival required difficult choices. Slaughter, ritual, and daily life were deeply entwined. Importantly, this was not an idyllic transition. Early sedentary life brought new problems, disease, nutritional stress, and social tension. Skeletons from the site show signs of physical hardship and occasional violence. Yet the community persisted. They adapted. They learned. Çayönü reveals that the path to civilization was not smooth, but it was deliberate. Around 7000 BCE, Çayönü was gradually abandoned. The reasons remain uncertain. Environmental changes, resource pressure, or social transformation may have played a role. There is no evidence of sudden destruction or catastrophe. What matters more than how Çayönü ended is what it began. The practices tested here, permanent architecture, communal planning, animal domestication, ritualized space, spread across the Fertile Crescent. Later villages and towns refined these ideas. Eventually, cities emerged. Çayönü did not become a city itself. It did not need to. Its role was foundational. Rediscovered and excavated in the 20th century, Çayönü has reshaped archaeological understanding of the Neolithic Revolution. It shows that civilization was not a single invention, but a process of experimentation carried out by ordinary people making extraordinary decisions. Today, the remains of Çayönü are quiet. Low stone walls trace the outlines of ancient homes. There are no towering monuments to attract awe, but its legacy is immense. Çayönü teaches us that humanity's greatest transformation did not begin with kings or gods, but with small communities choosing to stay, to build, and to remember. Civilization did not arrive fully formed. It was learned.
Issyk Golden Man. High in the rugged steppes of eastern Kazakhstan, buried beneath the Issyk burial mound near the city of Almaty, archaeologists uncovered one of the most spectacular artifacts of Central Asian history, the Issyk Golden Man. Discovered in 1969 by a team led by archaeologist Kamal Akashev, this extraordinary find consists of a young Saka warrior's skeleton adorned with over 4,000 gold ornaments, including a stunning headdress, breastplate, and belt. Dating to the 5th century BCE, the Golden Man is a striking testament to the wealth, artistry, and cultural sophistication of the Saka, a nomadic Iranian-speaking people who dominated the Urayan steppe long before the rise of the Silk Road. The discovery captivated both scholars and the public, illuminating a civilization that had previously been known primarily through fragmented historical records and scattered archaeological finds. The Issyk burial mound, or kurgan, was carefully constructed, reflecting the status and importance of the young warrior interred within. His elaborate costume, made of thin gold plates and animal motifs, suggests both ceremonial significance and a belief in the afterlife where such wealth and power were necessary. The Saka people, also known as the Scythians in some historical accounts, were expert horsemen, skilled metalworkers, and formidable warriors. Their culture thrived across the vast Eurasian steppe, from the Caspian Sea to modern-day Kazakhstan, blending martial prowess with intricate artistry. The Issyk Golden Man provides a unique glimpse into their hierarchical society, religious beliefs, and aesthetic sensibilities, preserving a chapter of steppe history that might otherwise have been lost. Beyond its immediate visual impact, the Golden Man holds immense historical significance. It represents not only the personal status of a warrior prince, but also the broader Saka social structure, in which elite families wielded both political and spiritual influence. Through careful study of the artifacts, scholars have reconstructed elements of Saka ceremonial life, attire, and symbolism, revealing a society deeply connected to horses, nature, and the celestial world. The Issyk Golden Man is more than a burial. It is a masterpiece of ancient steppe art. The headdress alone, composed of hundreds of finely hammered gold plates, depicts mythical creatures, rams, and other animals revered by the Saka. These motifs are not merely decorative, they convey spiritual meanings, asserting protection,
power, and the connection of the wearer to both the natural and supernatural realms. The full costume includes a golden chest ornament, belt, and greaves, each intricately detailed with animal imagery and geometric patterns. The craftsmanship demonstrates advanced metallurgical skills. Artisans of the Saka could produce thin, uniform gold sheets and shape them into complex relief designs, techniques that reflect both technical expertise and aesthetic refinement. The layering of gold plates over a felt or leather garment created a dazzling effect, likely intended to signify the elite status of the individual and his role in religious or military ceremonies. Symbolism plays a central role in the Golden Man's attire. Animals like rams, deer, and panthers frequently appear, each representing qualities such as strength, agility, and spiritual guardianship. The warrior's headdress, which resembles a crown, emphasizes both earthly authority and divine favor, suggesting a fusion of political power and sacred ritual. This interplay of function, symbolism, and artistry illustrates the sophisticated worldview of the Saka, where leadership, spirituality, and artistic expression were intertwined. The discovery of the Golden Man also provided insights into Saka burial rites. The positioning of the body, the arrangement of artifacts, and the inclusion of sacrificial horses and other grave goods reveal beliefs in an afterlife where the deceased continued to exercise authority and maintain social status. In essence, the Issyk Golden Man embodies the convergence of art, ritual, and identity, offering a tangible representation of Saka culture at its zenith.
The Issyk Golden Man has transformed understanding of the Saka civilization and nomadic culture in Central Asia. Its richness demonstrates the economic and social power of elite Saka families who controlled vast pastoral lands and engaged in trade with neighboring civilizations, including Persians, Chinese, and other steppe peoples. Artifacts such as gold ornaments, weapons, and ceremonial items illustrate a society that valued martial skill, spiritual authority, and aesthetic refinement. Archaeological analysis has revealed that the burial was carefully planned to reflect both worldly prestige and cosmological beliefs. Horses were sometimes buried alongside the elite, emphasizing their central role in Saka warfare, transport, and ritual life. The placement of the body within the mound, combined with orientation toward celestial bodies, suggests a belief system closely connected to the natural and cosmic order. The Issyk Golden Man also highlights the Saka's role as cultural intermediaries. Motifs found in the costume share similarities with Persian, Indian, and Central Asian artistic traditions, demonstrating the exchange of ideas across vast distances. The blending of styles in metalwork, textiles, and iconography underscores the interconnectedness of the ancient Eurasian world, where nomadic societies like the Saka facilitated the movement of culture as well as trade goods. Furthermore, the discovery challenged previous assumptions about nomadic peoples as uncivilized or lacking complex artistic traditions. The craftsmanship, planning, and symbolic depth of the Issyk burial show a society capable of monumental artistic and spiritual expression, rivaling the sophistication of contemporary sedentary civilizations. As a result, the Golden Man has become a symbol of national pride for Kazakhstan and an emblem of the richness of steppe heritage. Today, the Issyk Golden Man is recognized not only as a national treasure, but also as a globally significant artifact of ancient human history. Preserved in the State Museum of Kazakhstan in Almaty, it attracts scholars, tourists, and art enthusiasts alike. Conservation efforts ensure that the delicate gold ornaments remain intact, while ongoing research continues to uncover new insights about Saka metallurgy, ritual practices, and social hierarchies. The artifact's global significance lies in its ability to illuminate the connections between nomadic and sedentary societies. It demonstrates that steppe cultures were not isolated. They engaged in complex trade networks, diplomatic relationships, and artistic exchanges that influenced vast regions of the ancient world. The Issyk Golden Man remains a vivid reminder that nomadic societies contributed profoundly to human history, both with material culture and intangible knowledge. Ultimately, the Issyk Golden Man embodies the resilience, creativity, and spirituality of the Saka civilization. Its discovery has reshaped perceptions of nomadic societies, revealing a culture that balanced mobility, warfare, ritual, and artistry with remarkable sophistication. For historians, archaeologists, and the general public, the Golden Man serves as a tangible bridge to the past, a shimmering testament to the grandeur and ingenuity of the ancient Eurasian steppe.
Xiongnu tombs. Scattered across the vast steppes of northern China and Mongolia lie the ancient tombs of the Xiongnu, a formidable nomadic confederation that dominated the Eurasian steppe from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. These tombs, varying in size from modest mounds to enormous burial complexes, provide a rare glimpse into the lives, beliefs, and material culture of a people who were both feared and admired by the sedentary civilizations of their time. The Xiongnu were first mentioned in Chinese historical records during the reign of Emperor Qin Shi Huang and later in the Han Dynasty chronicles. They were renowned horsemen, warriors, and skilled diplomats who often clashed with Han China, leading to centuries of conflict, negotiation, and exchange. Despite their reputation as fierce raiders, the Xiongnu had a sophisticated social structure with a hierarchical leadership system under a supreme Chanyu, or ruler, supported by a council of nobles and clan leaders. The tombs themselves were constructed to reflect both social status and spiritual beliefs. Early burials consisted of simple pits for commoners, often accompanied by basic grave goods such as pottery, tools, and animal remains. In contrast, elite burials were monumental, featuring wooden chambers, stone enclosures, and elaborate offerings. Archaeologists have discovered artifacts, including bronze weapons, horse harnesses, chariots, and ornaments, highlighting the importance of mobility, warfare, and prestige in Xiongnu society. Religious and spiritual beliefs played a crucial role in burial practices. The Xiongnu believed in an afterlife where the deceased would continue to need earthly possessions. This belief motivated the careful arrangement of grave goods, the construction of horse burials alongside the deceased, and ceremonial rituals to ensure the protection and honor of the dead. The tombs thus provide invaluable insight into the worldview, hierarchy, and material culture of one of history's most enigmatic nomadic empires. The systematic study of Xiongnu tombs began in the 20th century, revealing the complexity and richness of their burial practices. Excavations at sites in Inner Mongolia, such as the Huli and Noin Ula cemeteries, uncovered tombs that contained not only human remains, but also animals, elaborate chariots, and intricate artifacts that showcased the artistry and technological prowess of the Xiongnu. Among the most remarkable discoveries are the wooden carvings, gold ornaments, and textiles found in elite tombs. These artifacts reflect a high level of craftsmanship and extensive trade connections, suggesting that the Xiongnu had access to materials and techniques from China, Central Asia, and even regions further west. Decorative motifs often feature animal styles, including representations of horses, deer, and mythical creatures, symbolizing power, spiritual protection, and the nomadic way of life. Horse burials are a defining feature of Xiongnu tombs, emphasizing the centrality of equestrian culture to their identity. Horses were interred alongside warriors, fully equipped with bridles, saddles, and sometimes chariots, reinforcing the belief that they would serve their owners in the afterlife. These burials highlight the Xiongnu's expertise in animal husbandry and warfare, as well as their spiritual practices that linked life, death, and mobility. The construction of tombs also reveals engineering sophistication.
Large timber frameworks, stone markers, and layered mounds demonstrate advanced planning and communal labor, indicating the importance of hierarchy and collective effort. The layout of tomb complexes often reflects social stratification, with central tombs reserved for Chanyus and prominent leaders surrounded by smaller mounds for nobles and warriors. Through these discoveries, archaeologists have pieced together a portrait of Xiongnu society that balances mobility, martial prowess, and spiritual sophistication.
Despite their dominance, the Xiongnu Confederation eventually declined under pressure from internal strife, environmental changes, and military campaigns by the Han Dynasty. By the late 1st century CE, many Xiongnu tribes had migrated westward, contributing to the complex ethnic and political landscape of Central Asia. However, the tombs they left behind endured as silent witnesses to their former power and influence. The Xiongnu tombs provide a critical counterpoint to historical records written by Chinese chroniclers, who often depicted them as barbaric raiders. Archaeological evidence portrays a more nuanced image, a sophisticated nomadic society with intricate social hierarchies, artistic traditions, and ritual practices. The tombs underscore the Xiongnu's adaptability, blending mobility with permanent expressions of status, belief, and artistry. Cultural exchanges revealed by tomb artifacts highlight the Xiongnu's role as intermediaries between the sedentary civilizations of China and the diverse peoples of the steppe. Luxury goods, textiles, and metalwork found in tombs demonstrate both trade and the diffusion of artistic styles, influencing neighboring cultures and later nomadic empires such as the Huns and the Mongols. The decline of the Xiongnu also illustrates the broader historical dynamics of the Eurasian steppe. Environmental pressures, internal conflicts, and external military threats shaped the rise and fall of nomadic confederations. Yet, through their tombs, the Xiongnu have left a lasting legacy, offering scholars unparalleled insight into nomadic life, spiritual beliefs, and cross-cultural interactions in ancient Eurasia. Today, Xiongnu tombs are recognized as invaluable cultural and historical heritage sites. Archaeological research continues to reveal new insights into their society, art, and burial practices. Preservation efforts focus on stabilizing fragile wooden structures, preventing erosion of earthen mounds, and safeguarding delicate artifacts for future generations. Modern scientific techniques, including radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, and 3D scanning, have revolutionized the study of Xiongnu tombs, allowing researchers to reconstruct social hierarchies, trace migration patterns, and better understand the genetic and cultural diversity of the nomadic confederation. Excavated textiles, metals, and horse gear provide tangible connections to everyday life, spiritual practices, and martial traditions. The global significance of Xiongnu tombs lies in their testament to human adaptation, mobility, and creativity. They reveal how a nomadic society could produce complex art, maintain hierarchical structures, and exert influence over vast territories. As a bridge between East and West, the Xiongnu facilitated cultural exchange that shaped Eurasian history, leaving traces in the artistic traditions and social structures of subsequent nomadic empires. Ultimately, the Xiongnu tombs are more than burial sites. They are monuments to a civilization that mastered the challenges of steppe life while creating enduring cultural and artistic legacies. They invite us to reconsider assumptions about nomadic peoples, demonstrating that mobility and sophistication can coexist. For scholars, tourists, and history enthusiasts alike,
The tombs offer a journey into a forgotten world where power, belief, and artistry converged across the endless Eurasian plains.